I'm kind of here for this one.
I'm not surprised. And I told you this. We don't have to talk about it today, or we can go in depth, but I listened to Rewives because I've been saying that I wanted to, Bethany's new podcast. And one of the interesting things is Bethany had Tori Spelling on. I listened to that episode, and Bethany said the same thing. Bethany came out that just basically said all of these, for the most part, most of these women do not have any money at all. Everything that you see is rented, borrowed, leased. Are you raising your hand? Do you need to what?
I'm raising my hand because it's like, did you ever hear that statement before? Behind the velvet rope? This is my biggest. I've been saying this for 10 years.
Bethany listened to you and then repeated it. Yeah, I mean, Bethany says, on this, that for the most part, none of these women have any money. And, I'm sure you've heard this over the years. I have, living in DC, obviously them casting Potomac, but usually the people that have a real money, a lot of money, do not want to be on these shows. Because I think, to your point, right, they probably don't want to be investigated. They don't want to kick up a hornet's nest. They got a real good life. I'm not saying that they're not like doing things above the books, but I think that, they know if you have real money, you become a target for lawsuits and everything else. So why put themselves on TV? So most of these women do not have any money, and they make money after being on this show if they become rich at all.
Yeah, and like I have technically no problem with that, but then I also have a big problem with it because you are acting like you have money, you're spending like you have money and living above your means, which does lead to the Jen Shahs and the Tom Girardis of the world. Not saying Erica Jane, I'm saying Tom Girardi and all these other scandals. And what the other part is, it's just all these adoring fans, like lapdogs looking up, like, oh, look, it's so and so, and I'm like, I wouldn't want to be friends with that person in life. Like, no, I don't want this. And mind you, hang out with these people. I mean, I've been there, guys. It's very chaotic, and it's just like,
Oh, it's
we
awful.
haven't even gotten to the damn fucking restaurant for the drink, and you're crying, and there's tissues, and there's trauma. This ain't how I want to run my life. That's just me. I'm not bitter. It's the new year.
I'm with
Happy
you.
to everyone. I don't really want to engage, and I know people, plenty of people with real money, and they have just wonderful lives, and they pay for what's in front of them. And like my good friend Catherine Edwards, who happened to be on the show. She's in India this month. Like, I mean, guys, being on the show is not the ultimate. So what else did Bethany say though? Like, just about, is that was her main point? Anything else you took away from Weird Rewives?
Oh, well, I listened to Rewives. I took extensive notes.
Ooh.
Well, here, I'll start with what I liked, because I always, I heard this saying that what you criticize, you can't become. So I always try to go into things looking at, like, what are the things that I really admire or like about this person? I actually think her concept of Rewives is a unique one. She takes a very famous scene from Housewives. And this one with Tori Spelling was of the limo scene with Kyle and Kim, where Kyle basically says to Kim, "You're an alcoholic," and everybody knows it, So it was, I liked that concept. And then Bethany brings in a guest, and they talk about the concept, together. I loved Bethany's insight. Obviously, she lived it. I think much like you are, much like we try to be on this show, I think Bethany is of the people, or tries to be of the people, in, saying, like, this is what's really going on. This is what's really happening. Tori Spelling was a fantastic guest. Seems very humbled in her life, because obviously, she was born, Aaron Spelling was her father, one of arguably the greatest TV producers of all time, 90210, Melrose Place, enormous hits. When he died, because he just thought his kids would work and have money too, he left them each just $1 million, which is a lot of money to most of us. But when you grow up with an entire room that's just for wrapping paper, that's not $1 million is like what you shit out every day, So, basically she was a fantastic, very humble guest. The negative of Bethany's podcast is you have to listen to Bethany talk a lot about herself, and she's earned this because she is a celebrity, but you have somebody, to me, when I have guests on, no matter what status they are. It is very hard to get on television. It's hard. It's hard to get on TV. It's hard to stay famous. I mean, Tori is an icon, even if she was born with a silver spoon in her mouth, to survive Hollywood, to be super rich, to be broke, to estrange from her mom. Like, she's been through shit too. The part that I don't like about Bethenny is you have to wade through a lot of Bethenny. It's how great Bethenny is. And we had to talk about how Andy and Jeff Lewis called her to apologize after Watch What Happens. And she was so moved. And that's the part of Bethenny I don't really like. I don't know if that's like a New Yorker kind of brass thing. I don't know. I'm not a big person to talk about myself all the time. And I don't know. To me, I just thought it was kind of disrespectful to the great Tori Spelling to have her on. And then Bethenny kind of goes on and on about herself and how she's, the only one that really, succeeded in her business, and everyone trashed on her and shit on her. But all those things are true. I just think, why do you have to remind us all that? Like, we know you've been famous now for like 15 years. We all love you. We all respect. I don't know. That's the only
especially with a guest. It should never be about it's
again, a lot about Bethenny. Yeah.
Look, with a guest, never. It's never about me. I don't even speak, basically.
No, you do a great job. You're better than I am.
Let me explain the key thing, guys. You give people enough rope to hang themselves. When you ask a question, you ask, and then you just sit there. You literally sit there and stare at someone. Like, if it's a dead silence, you're like, what do you want me to say? I asked you the question. Like, please answer. So you just shut the hell up and you let them answer, and you just sit there. And the more they talk, the more then you hear something and you're like, ding, 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 ding. It's like winning, the wheel. It's like winning the slots in Vegas. Sometimes they say something and you're like, oh, I have a follow-up question. Other times you're like, I got to get to my real point over here. But yeah, it's not about you. Every now and then you interject like, oh yeah, I'm like an early riser too. Sure. Like, one sentence to bond with them and then you move on. That's how you interview. It should never be about you. Here, I talk more about myself. A lot of people think I don't talk enough about myself. Other people think when I borderline on the Bethenny side of it, I check myself. Like, I know when I'm heading there. I'm heading there right now. And it's like, nobody gives a fuck. It's like, nobody gives a fuck, David.
No, they do. That's what these episodes are about, right? These episodes have become you and me, like, giving our insider take on, housewives. And it's great. And also we interject our own personal, that's what these episodes are for. Maybe that's also part of the mission of Rewives. Maybe Rewives was, and she is a former housewife. So maybe that's part of the show, is like, she's going to talk a lot about herself, her experience, which her insight is fantastic. She talks about knowing Kyle and Kim. She gave a lot of background I thought was really good on, like, I didn't really know a lot about Kim's first husband. They ended up starting doing drugs together. They were together very young. And then that was where the family really kind of intervened and forced them to separate because they were kind of creating this addiction. I guess I don't know if I just never paid attention or I didn't know that part of it. They talk about Kyle having a baby, Farrah, I think, with the first, I don't know if he was husband or boyfriend. Anyway, she gave a lot of, I thought that was very interesting because she was Paris Hilton's, Bethenny was Paris and oh God, who's the other Hilton? Nikki's nanny. She would drive them to school.
She was inner circle. Yeah.
Inner circle. So I loved the inner circle scoop. She had a lot of that. And I think I give Bethenny a ton of credit. She does speak about these people. Like, she doesn't pander to them like, oh my God, they're so great. Like, I thought that part was really great. She said she really liked Kyle and Kathy, but this was Paris and Nikki. I like that she wasn't sucking anybody's ass. I thought that was really good. I liked the podcast. I probably wouldn't listen because you and I do our own show. Like, I'm in it enough, but I'm like, okay, I get it. I think it's good. I just personally, once she starts in on all herself and I don't know, just this whole thing about the empathy that she received from Andy and Jeff, I'm like, oh my God, give me a break. You knew Watch What Happens Live was good for you, good for Jeff, good for, like, give me a break. But she,
how it
went on and on and on about, Jeff calling her and Jeff never apologized. It's just like, okay, really? Like, let's move on. You have Tori Spelling, one of the greatest insiders into Beverly Hills. Like, and I think Tori did well. Tori handled it really well. She was very, I don't know, she kind of went along with it. She was very gracious about it, which I give Tori a ton of credit for.
Well, I think in Bethenny's mind, she thinks she's more relevant or famous than lots of these guests, and plenty of them she is, but I get it. So like a mixed review, I see why. Okay, so listen, I'm not going to listen, don't have the time, but look, it's doing very well. And I even understand how producers work, and I've been at filming, so I have inside information. I can only imagine what Bethany's is. So the concept of it is brilliant. She has way more information than we do.
I know, but do we think it's going to do it? Do you really care about going back and analyzing
No,
the scene?
I don't. I mean, that's just me. I don't care about like,
good point.
Well, there's a producer off in the corner and they might, oh, you see what Kyle just said? You see how she has a different shoe on in that scene? That was refilmed 3 hours later. No, I really don't. I really don't. And here's Jerry Springer. Oh my God, we're thick as thieves. The table is tipped. No, I don't. I mean, no. Really, no. I mean, I can't, like, we have so much going on now. I like staying kind of in the current. That's just me. It's just me. I don't really want to pick it. Don't let it be about Todd. It's about Tom. Woo, Luann. No, I don't want to, I don't need to relive these. There's so many scenes. Like, I can't keep up with what day it is here. No, I don't like it.
That's kind of my point is like, thank you for saying that. Cause that's kind of what I walked away from going, well, wait a minute. Is anyone, I mean, it was good and there were great parts of it, but I was just like, would I listen? Like, do I care? No. Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Cause I'm with you. I'm like, I don't really care about that scene 10 years ago. I had totally forgot. Kim's not on the show. Kyle, there's been so many other things that Kyle's done since.
Right. Yeah. I care about the current, like, why will Rinna not be back? Why will Rinna be back? Is Brandy really coming back? Like, she's open. Like, I care